I'll welcome you all, and today I will continue with the discussion about the inflation. And today I will take the uh, the aspects related to impact of inflation and the policies that can be used to contain inflation. You may recall that in the last lecture I uh, discussed about inflation, what inflation is, and we took a definition. Inflation is a sustained or persistent increase in general level prices to rise over a period of time. Inflation is measured by the price index, and the variety of inflation and some three major types we discussed: low, moderate, and low, galloping, and hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is the most devastating type of inflation in the economy. Then we also discussed about the factors that may cause increase in price, and I discussed about the factors that determine the price, like demand and supply. So we took that total demand in the economy or the supply, aggregate supply, maybe may cause rise in price. Today I will take up uh, one element of rise in price, which may not be related to the aggregate demand and supply, but it may related to the psychology of the players which are their consumers. What we call it expectations. So there's brief discussion about it, expectation. You know that when prices start rising, then what happens that if government is not serious in controlling it, then people expect that if prices have gone up by let us 6%, and then they think that in future it may go further. So this is called self-fulfilling prophecy. Means that if you think about anything, start thinking, then it may happen. And accordingly, if they form expectations, then they will behave like. For instance, if consumer expect to price to go up, they will start buying goods, because in future, for example, let us say now and after 1 2 months, the price will be higher, price will go up. So they will act now and they will hold goods. And then what may happen that the producers what may do that they may hold back the supply, because they think that if they sell now it will fetch a lower price. Here is a lower price, but if they sell, if you hold it and sell after some period of time, then it may fetch higher price. Similarly, what happens that because if the inflations are rising, then other consideration like for investment, for the other like the other decisions by the businesses may get affected, like because of that, because inflation creates kind of uncertainty in the economy. So that is why in sometimes it happened that government has to manage expectations, and government can use it, government can signal it that it's serious. That for instance in India, when prices have started rising, then it's causing serious concern. Some factors which are beyond our control, like the global war and all that. So government cannot do, but it will cause an impact on the economy, and it has got a very serious and maybe lasting effect in the economy because of certain prices of certain commodity, energy prices and other prices which are there. So it may cause a ripple effect in the economy. That is why government has to be very serious in containing, and government can signal it that it will try to manage it. So managing expectation important also, even if there is no shortage of supply or there is no excess demand. But if the prices start rising, then people form expectation that what will happen in the future. So accordingly they behave. When they accordingly they behave, then their actions maybe in the buying or holding and the producers and other, so may they act it. So it is also an important factor. And as I told you in my lecture on microeconomics, that entire school of thought is the rational expectation hypothesis. He says that the government takes any policy decisions, the agents, the economic consumer, producer, they have already, taken into account those things, and they have already acted. So by the time government takes any decision, it proves to be ineffective because the economic agents like consumers and others, they have already acted. Uh, but whether they will form expectations in rational way or sometimes irrational expectations are also there. Uh, so that is a moot question, which I leave it to, because entire school of thought has come behavioral economics. They try to look from the behavior of consumers and producer and all the economic agents from the non-rational viewpoint. If they are not rational, what may happen? Now, why inflation is a worrisome thing in the economy, and as I said that it is considered to be one of the most important potent threats for the economy in its management, and that is why before it raises its ugly head, and then government has to nip it in the bud. Government has to contain it. So inflation causes effect and throughout the economy, and some of the impact can be analyzed. Some impact cannot be fully analyzed. The first impact of inflation is that it causes a redistribution of income and wealth among different groups. You know that some people, they live on fixed income, like retired people and other people. If they are in fixed income, so if their prices are rising, what may happen that their fixed income, let us say they are receiving certain amount, it will be eroded because of the rise in price. Naturally, there will be some rise in price, but it starts rising. So that is why those who have got a fixed income and that is not compensated by the rise, they may be affected. So a kind of redistribution takes place. Certain sections of the society, especially senior citizens, other pensioners and others, if they those who are in working group and their income is compensated, like DNS allowance. So somewhat to some extent, they are compensated by the rising price. But there are large number of people who are not do not receive income; they are not compensated. For example, in India, there is a large population which receive a fixed income, and there is no compensation for the rise in price through DNS. They do not receive it in DNS, and their wages and other things, they do not increase according to rise in price. For instance, if they are receiving 100 rupee and price rise by 10, then there is income, their salary should increase by 100. It should go to 110. There is no way that they can provide a hedge against the rise in price, and therefore this, like some old text, some textbook like KPM Sundaram type and other thing. I'm not saying that KPM Sundaram type, which is normally studied by a student at economics at BA level in the university, they write that fixed income salary people and other, they are affected. Only condition is that if they are not compensated for the rise, then they will be affected. Otherwise, if they are the DNS allowances are their salaries indexed to rise in price, so they may not be fully affected because of rise. Naturally, they will be affected because I said that after all, price index which is used for calculation of is not a perfect measure of rise in price. It is an imperfect measure. Sometimes the rise in price bites more than what is compensated. So this and then other kind of churning takes place, as I told you in my last lecture, that if you are borrowing, there is a lender and there is a borrower. It is somebody is receiving loan. Lender provides the rate of the loan at 10% to the borrower when the rate of inflation, I gave an example, let us say is 9%, just an example. So it means that 10 minus 9 is 1% the real return. Normally, the real return is maybe 1-2%, theoretically speaking, and we also find that it is to the extent of 1-2%, like that. Now, if prices rise by more than 10%, it is greater than 10%. So it means that the rate of interest which will be received by lender from the borrower, which will pay, will be in real term it is negative. The real interest rate is negative. So that is why the functioning of the the financial market, where the borrowers and lender, they undertake an agreement contract. So the lenders may be at advantage, whereas borrowers may be at lenders may be disadvantage, borrowers may be at advantage, because if they if they were to borrow now, they will pay higher interest rate, because rate of interest may go up in line with the rise in price. So therefore, and some people say that to the extent that that if there is a high inflation, then government's rate interest payment will also go down in real term. And one I will tell you in my last part. Then inflation also causes distortion in relative price. Relative price means that there are various types of prices in the economy. Like if I give you an example, a price of wheat, fodder which is used for feeding of animals. Let us say, let me just remove this right bread. Now, sometimes it happens that the price of certain thing, that if everything like, price of goods, wages, interest, exchange rate, all these things, they move in line with the inflation, all the prices. Prices in line with the inflation are rise in price. If 10%, all will go up by 10%, all go by 10%, like this. So there will be relative, there will no difference, prices have gone up, but they, all the prices have gone into line with the rise in price. Therefore, nobody is worse off. But it normally does not happen. Because of that, sometimes what happens that when prices start rising, then government tries to control price of certain. One important thing is the price of bread. This is not that, especially in those countries, are the price of certain essential items, to put it in Indian context. There is the essential commodity that government may try that if the prices goes beyond control, then the government may invoke that law, and essential item they may fix the price ceiling. So especially in countries where the homemade chapatis are not made another, and people buy bread. Bread do not think double roti type, and India, but bread is also the kind of, especially in the Middle Eastern countries, in other countries. Normally, the women, they do not, make chapati at home. Rather, they rely on the bakeries for that. Or to use the word bread, what you understand it. So let us say that government, because of prices are rising, then government may fix that you cannot charge more than this for the bread. Bread price is fixed. Now, normally the price of bread should be higher than the price of fodder. चारा जो होता है जानवरों को खिलाया जाता है जानवरों के लिए. So the price of the fodder, I'm not talking about imported fodders, which are used to feed the. So this has happened that when like in East European countries, when they broke away from the erstwhile USSR, then that they tried to make adjustment to market economy. And in this transition, what happened that prices started rising in these countries. So government, in order to control prices, what the government did, that government fixed price of bread, that you cannot charge more than this. So what happened that the price of bread and fodder went out of line. घास का दाम जो है वो या जो भी खिलाया जाता है वो ब्रेड के दाम से कम ही होना चाहिए. So what is happened that people when price of bread was lower than the price of fodder, so it was a common scene in the people started feeding the price of fodder. So that is why a caption came and said that there is also what distortion, there is a bread line. So that is why this kind of distortion may take place. And it is not something out of fiction. It has been reported. So that is why the inflation and may cause, because not all prices rise to account for to the rise in inflation. If all prices rise, then there will be nobody will be worse off. Everybody will be compensated, and the inflation will not affect to the extent when the prices they not move in line with the rising price. So, and other important thing about inflation is there are various other things like when prices are rising, then what happens that the price tag has to be changed. They become what we call shoe leather costs. For example, if they continuously rise, then the shopkeepers have to keep changing. And as I told you in my last lecture, that the price is a kind of measuring rod, that enables us to measure the price, the price in terms of certain denomination. If that itself is changing, then other thing may also. Another important thing, macroeconomic consequence, is that when prices start rising, then it creates uncertainty in the economy. Uncertainty means that nobody knows what is in store, how the thing will roll out, finally. And that we are living in a world which is characterized by risk and uncertainty. But in sometimes it is very difficult to forecast and the direction where what will happen, because I like that. And when lot of uncertainty is there, then it may discourage the producer, the investor, the businesses to make long-term decisions. If they think that the prices start rising and other things, then the prospect of business, what will be in the future. So that is the situation of uncertainty is not good for business decision making, and therefore they may not make new investment and like that. It is given here in my slide. So, and also one more important thing is that, as I said, that expectation is okay, but that speculation is beyond the expectation. People, they may bet against future and they may take certain activities which may not be good for the country. Sometimes speculation may be stabilizing and sometimes it may be destabilizing. So speculation may be destabilizing effect in the economy. And I've already told you that holding another thing, so it is the expectation, because nobody will make a future investment or like that. Everybody forms some judgment about the future. Everybody, if you are joined MBA program, you must have some expectation from this, that after passing out, what will happen to you, whether you will get a job or work industry. You must have, because every decision is based on that. But if there is a lot of uncertainty, then it goes in the realm of speculation, and that is not good for the economy. The question is that when inflation has got an adverse effect in the economy, and inflation needs to be controlled and contained, what are the policies available for the government? And you are aware of two policies. I will come to this point later. Fiscal. One is called monetary policy, another called is fiscal. Monetary policy is used by the RBI and to control supply of money. The supply of money may be increased or decreased. For instance, and there are various tools available like the CRR, SLR, open market operation, then repo rate and other, and fiscal policies, taxes and expenditure, either it may be increased, decreased, or decreased. So government can use fiscal and monetary policy, for example, to either to increase supply. For example, when inflation is, then government may try to contain the some of these measures may be increased, or government, sell securities. Not all these measures are taken, so all these options are available to reduce supply of money, which is called contractionary. So that if there is too much money in the economy, so the price is expected that it will stoke inflation. Then government can also cut down, spending and all that to contain. If monetary policy proved to be insufficient, ineffective, then normally monetary policy is used to contain inflation in the short run. But if it is found that monetary policy is not proving to be effective, is not able to cast an effect on the rise in price, then it has to be used in tandem with fiscal policy also. But the fiscal monetary policy has got flexibility, because every quarter the RBI comes out with a monetary policy, and if situation demands, then other policy announcements that it has to be parliament. That is why the flexibility in using it as and when required, there may be lag, whereas the action lag may not take much time in monetary policy, but the effect on real availability may take time. So these are the policies which are normally used by the, and as I told you that one of the mandate of RBI's monetary policy is that 4% target rate, 4 plus minus 2, and there is a monetary policy committee consisting of 6 people that consists of the Reserve Bank of India, which vote whether we would increase rate of interest or decrease it depending upon the economic condition. The mean says it should maybe 6 and 4, 2, and it has crossed this. So therefore, it is expected that RBI may take some measures. Now, apart from this thing, when sometime it happens that the only expectations have to be managed of the economic agents, and we should anchor the expectation. लंगर नहीं होता जहाज का, लंगर अंदाज होता है. Is expectation sometime that it becomes anchorless. People as I said, that in the realm of speculation, people thought that this is not the government is not serious in containing inflation, or it will, as I told you, self-fulfilling prophecy. Then it feeds into that. So government by, for example, price of edible oil, how government is going to manage it, energy prices, whether government will release its reserve of edible oil. So government by announcement even, that what measures government are taking can manage expectations. Like it has been suggested that government can use the reserves to release the oil, or government has got a lot of, wheat, in all these godam and other, so which are there, godowns are there, like Food Corporation of India, all they are there. So what the government can do is that government can sell this thing, because as I told you that the major suppliers in the world, Russia and Ukraine, so government can export it because there is surplus available. Government can also earn revenue. So all these, governments, how government is going to manage these. Even announcement effect has got a dampening effect on the behavior, because if people think that if government has very clear cut policy that will be invoked, so it may puncture the expectation, and that prices, if they start feeding into further rise, and that may be contained. Then another important thing is that, as I said that in my discussion on the causes of inflation, sometimes it is very difficult to know the cause of inflation. Here in this situation, it is mostly cause. What are the factors that lead to increase in rising price, whether it is demand side or supply side or mix, both are operating. So it is driven by not only demand, excess demand, or the shortage of supply, or it is mixed both working. So, and if it is not identified correctly, what may happen that the policy may be too effective. In India, what happened that in 2004, I think 2006-7, inflation was at 14%, 15% around. You know, and RBI was using its monetary policy that it was increasing repo rate and other things to cut down supply of money, so that the other activities like lending and other things are curtailed, and that leads to the contraction in supply of money, and that supply of money is reduced, then prices may be reduced. But the problem was that the most of the inflation in India is food and fuel, some are seasonal. So this component is very important in rising price in India, and especially agriculture. The vegetable and other pulses and others, and. So monetary policy was proving to ineffective because the problem lies somewhere else. Because if the pulses or the vegetable, if you do manage supply side factors better, like better storage, transportation facilities, then the supply side factors which are related to these can. So that is why sometimes identification of the cause may be difficult. And I said that the cause is very difficult to identify sometimes. Even the best in the experts may not maybe may mistake in identifying. Otherwise, the U.S. crisis of 2008 financial crisis would have been you know would not have occurred at all, because the best brains as well as economic thinking, policy making, they are in US. They could have tackled that problem, you know, so like that. So that is why it is very important also to understand if supply side factors are there like this, monetary policy may not be effective in that sense. And that there was there was a theory before that this was known as Phillips curve, named after A.W. Phillips, who who looked at the rise in inflation and output. Output means GDP, okay, in at aggregate level. He found that if you want to have high level of GDP, you should tolerate also high level. The recent example is that China was experiencing high rate of growth, 10%, 12, but there was overheating of the economy when you are using a easy monetary policy and government is spending a lot of money, then it will putting a lot of money in the hand of the people. So he said that there is a trade-off. If you want to have high output, you should tolerate high inflation. So the means that high inflation, some rise in price will stoke inflation. But what happened that idea was that you can contain it by using fiscal policy and demand side. But in recent time, what has happened that the prices are also rising, but output is declining. That is, GDP is not going. A situation which is called a combination of stagnation plus inflation. And the word coined is called stagflation, which is a combination of that economy that is not experiencing increase in GDP. At the same time, prices are also. It's difficult to manage such kind of situation, and it is in the wake of these crises. occurring in the war and other. It is some people are already discussing about the stagflation occurring in our country. That our GDP was affected because of COVID and other situation. Although it has history, that was not that all of a sudden fall, but the and because of these factors, so economy may be moving towards that situation where, and it is not a good situation, that if the GDP is rising, prices are rising, then that we think that okay, that we have to pay this price of, but here it is happening that neither the output is may experience rise or may decline, and at the same time prices may start rising. So there is no trade-off, that earlier clearly we pointed out that the world has also witnessed a situation of like this. So in the end, I would just like to say that inflation is one of the most important factors that a country looks at and tries to contain before it creates problem for the economy. Because if it is not controlled and contained in the beginning, it may move into the situation where it affects not its the economy, but all the actors which are there may be severely affected. Because that is why government, whenever the indicators are there, which foretell are using that, that is like government can take some step to control it before it goes out of control. Now, if you look at recent some of the editorial, for example, let me just show to you 1 minute. This is an editorial of Business Standard, okay, of today. Okay, you can see here that the so the global health will weaken recovery. If you read it, you will find that Monetary Policy Committee, the Consumer Price Index, it is given here, and the inflationary pressure are likely to persist. Global particularly crude have increased since the Russian missile have come down in the hope of diplomatic progress here this year. Right? India will be able to start making adjustment. India will be able to make it into, higher in general will lead to higher and lower growth. This will increase pressure on government finance. Naturally, oil companies have still not passed on to absorb part of it. It may also be reduce excise duty or petroleum product, but both the option will hit the budget. It will entire goes into retail price, will push up the inflation rate and hit consumer demand. There are no easy options. The government will also have to find fertilizer. RBI will need to make adjustment. That is the Monetary Policy Committee is supporting in a sense the outbreak by maintaining lower interest rate. We seen to behind the curve even before inflation is a consequence. Behind the curve means it acted late. The GF is expecting car increase and so on. So you can see that which has already we find that inflation risk and damage the long-term Indian overall the global economy is further weakened ongoing from the pandemic-induced disruption and increase in macro. This is what I was telling, that that it will. So already discussion is on about that the real and others already you find the discussion. So that is why what you are studying is not something that is has no application in real world. They are very important. I'll share with you this. Now with this, I have. I think that we have completed the course which was shared by Dr. Tar. But I will engage class on Monday also, and I have to make some announcement. That evaluation has to be undertaken. And for this, what we have discussed with Dr. Tariq Aziz is that we will conduct one test and we will give you 2 assignments. Assignment may be based on question, may be based on a case study, where you may be asked to answer. That we will announce. I will announce on Monday and also will can engage classes if you find that anything is not clear to you or some. But I will clarify all the assignment and the requirement and the test, what will be the syllabus of the test, and what how much marks we will assign to the test and assignment. But I must make one thing very clear, that what we have experienced, what we have found that during this pandemic, we have been taking very lenient view as far as evaluation is concerned. But some students, they try to use this opportunity for some other purpose, like they copy assignment of somebody. So please make note that any assignment are like that. If it is a copy of somebody else, because when we are evaluating it, then we come to know, or it is a copy from the net, you have to paraphrase it. It is at least some things should be done by you, not that exactly cut paste in model. That will not be taken, leniently. Rather, it will invite strict punishment. That is why we will make these things very clear. And it will not be that these assignment and test will be something which we will ask, which will be based on something which we have not been. All these things will revolve around the discussion and the material and other reading which we provided. It will not be something that you will find it difficult to understand. And like those who have attended classes, those who peruse the course material and other reading material, they will not find it difficult at all. But on Monday, I will clarify on these issues and discuss with you. Now, if you have any question, you can ask.
Sir, I have a question actually. Sir, Tariq Aziz sir has already given an assignment. So I guess he allocated 100 points to that. So will it be a part of it, or like?
Has already given an assignment, then we'll consider it. I'll talk to Tariq. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. No problem.
So because that evaluation has to be in association with that, so I will talk to him. Okay. So the how, and for those from the health who have joined late, what is to be done to them because they have not studied it some units and like that. So I will tell you on Monday what will be done.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
So we'll meet and you note down your questions and other anything on Monday. If needs any clarification, I will address on Monday. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
And I'll provide you all the slides and all that. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.